All right, folks, another new day and another new all-time high for Bitcoin, back above 73,000 this morning. It did just sell off as I was preparing the show, but we're going to give you the full update here, and we're going to talk about the $40 trillion tipping point that has been achieved and that is underway. And we're talking about institutional Wall Street money that's been pouring in, taking Bitcoin all the way up to these most recent new all-time highs. But I'm going to talk about this in depth about how we have additional ETFs on the way for Wall Street and institutional investors to get exposure to not just Bitcoin, but some other digital assets that might be worth considering as well. I don't need to name them. You guys already know what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at the charts here to get started this morning. So Bitcoin up to 73,600. You can see that climb. And just within the last hour, actually, it did sell back off here to about 71.6. and a quick bounce up to 72.5. So still a lot of volatility in this market with Ethereum back down right now. As I said, we've got a red candle being printed. This is the 4-hour chart. XRP at 67.5. And so we are moving back down this morning after we saw new highs printed already. Now, moving on in, we got the inflation data, and we continue to see that the costs just continue to go up. And if it skews the data too much, then they just strip it out, right? And this is where even their super core, their new metric, right? Even that one's running hot. The one that removes food, energy, and shelter and everything else that matters, right? And so we dive in a little bit deeper here, and you can see the cost to insure is spiraling out of control, which is keeping inflation high. Automotive insurance is up 20% year over year and sits at a 50-year high. Car repairs are up 6% year over year. Home insurance is up 11%, worse if in Florida. Yeah, it's I think the average right now is about 100% increase in insurance costs. I mean, some people can't even get insurance at all. How long until this hits asset prices? Well, I think that it's starting to hit asset prices, particularly in real estate and, some other businesses as well that have just had to leave, downtown areas throughout the country, right? You think about this. This is where you get some areas that never come back, right? Never make it back because nobody's going to insure them. Nobody's going to invest, right? And how can you invest if you can't insure your building, your business, whatever you're trying to, pour money and resources into? If you can't insure it, there's no chance. And so this is just one of the many costs that continues to go up, and it's something to be aware of. It's not going to be going away anytime soon. And we got to take a look at the insider trading alert. We got the couple here for you. Samuel Robson Walton, former chairman and heir to the Walmart fortune, has sold 10.9 million Walmart shares over the last 3 weeks for a total value of just under 1.7 billion. He is joining Mark Zuckerberg, who just sold another 78 million worth of Meta, bringing his total to nearly 1 billion as well. Zuckerberg joins billionaires like Bezos and the Walton family, cashing out big in 2024. So while we are seeing the markets go into a straight mania and a lot of people think, this is just going to keep going on up forever, I believe that the insiders, I believe that these CEOs, they know what's coming. They're seeing the bill maybe for their insurance and some of their other costs, and they're saying, yeah, and you're seeing, these businesses. We just saw Cisco announce major layoffs. We just saw Target announce major layoffs at the corporate level, right? Dollar Tree, right? The economy's so bad that not even Dollar Tree can make it. Are you kidding me, right? Dollar Tree shutting down hundreds of locations across this country. It's getting interesting out there, folks. So let's just remember that this recession is here, despite what their data says. Inflation's not going away. And so that's why I continue to reiterate, we got to focus on income, bringing it in so that we can survive the inflation and so that we can stack up as much cash to put towards allocations for investments as possible. Into cryptocurrency, we got Camp Warren in complete panic. Eleanor Terrett with the scoop says she's been looking further into Chuck Kane, or Ian Kane, I guess is his name. Ian Kane, okay? The new pro-blockchain GOPer who could be preparing to launch a campaign for Senator Warren's Senate seat. If Kane were to run, he would do so as a moderate Republican, which would put him in direct competition with Deaton for Senate. According to the Boston Globe, Kane registered as a Republican for the first time in February 29th after spending 4 years as an unregistered voter and a registered Democrat for around 3 years prior to that. So now he's flip-flopping. Kane has many Democratic connections. His father, John Kane, is chairman of the Quincy, Massachusetts Ward 3 Democrat Party, according to the Massachusetts Democrats website. Kane's recent election contributions have all gone to Democrats, including Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, Kim Driscoll, Seti Warren, Representative Lynch, who he interned for. He also endorsed Joe Kennedy's Senate campaign in 2020 and appeared in his campaign video. He's also posed for pictures with Joe Biden and Elizabeth I Got a Plan for That Warren. Now, in my opinion, what we have here is Elizabeth has a little plan for Mr. John Deaton, who is a very serious threat to Elizabeth Warren, and she is now potentially about to activate this little Democrat agent to come after John Deaton, running as a pro-crypto moderate Republican who clearly is flip-flopping here now to the other side. And once again, I'm not here to play politics, and that's the beautiful thing about John Deaton. John Deaton's not here to play politics. He's here to get something done and bring accountability, and he clearly has the Warren camp in full panic. And this is the problem that we're up against, is that the beast is grown big. They got a lot of resources they can deploy, including little softy, little whatever this guy. I mean, I'm going to bite my tongue. These guys are so pathetic. These guys are so weak. They have no principles and values. Wherever their buddies send them to operate, whatever they send them to do, they just head right for it, right? If Elizabeth Warren and the gang says, okay, it's time for you to run Republican, to dethrone or maybe, displace John Deaton, they just hop right on in. They do whatever they're told. They're completely compromised and they're complete sellouts. And it's so weak and pathetic. You can just see it just by looking at these guys. I'm going to bite my tongue before I say anything else. Let's continue talking crypto. XLM, the next ETH killer? What makes Sorobon a powerful smart contracts platform? Designed with scalability in mind, developer-friendly with plug-and-play tools, near instant speed and low cost, real-world utility by connecting to Stellar's on-chain assets and worldwide on and off ramps. And so this is the smart contracts that we now have live on Stellar XLM, right? And we're going to continue to watch this because they're just getting started here. We're starting to see some folks launching smart contracts on main chain now. And it's going to be very interesting because we see that the XRP ledger doesn't have smart contracts, right? And many people suggesting that we should have hooks, that we should have smart contracts, but we're going to get to see smart contracts tested on XLM. Smart contracts are one of the common attack vectors, right? And so hopefully it doesn't compromise Stellar Network. And I think that they're doing so in a smart way where they're only allowing so many of the transactions per ledger to basically be dedicated towards smart contracts. So they're going to make sure that it's not overloading the Stellar Network, making sure that it's still cheap, efficient, and has no downtime, right? So it's going to be an interesting experiment, and I love to see that Stellar's getting some more utility. A lot of people still sleeping on Stellar. We're not sleeping on Stellar over here, I tell you what. And the other thing that we're not sleeping on is the 589 Life. Check this one out from 24 Hours Crypto. He had put out a tweet, and he said, if Brad likes this comment, I'll get 589 tatted on me. Well, sure enough, Mr. Brad Garlinghouse did come in and like the tweet. And here we have 24 Hours Crypto. That is some dedication right there, folks. Take a look at that. 589. He already has the X tattoo as well. I'm not a tattoo guy. I don't have any tattoos. It looks like he already had 589. What's this? It looks like he already had 589. So he just got a new one updated. Nonetheless, you got to respect it. And I got to take notice of this. I mean, the fact that Brad Garlinghouse got the XRP tatted on himself, I still question if that's real or not. I believe it is, but I still kind of question. Brad doesn't strike me as a tattoo guy, but for XRP, maybe he did do it, and that does send a big signal. And the fact that Brad Garlinghouse liked this tweet, knowing that very well if he liked this tweet, this guy was going to go get a tattoo. Do you think that Brad would be playing along doing this if this was just as the haters and fudsters would say, if Brad's just dumping on us and he doesn't care about XRP, and despite Brad saying that XRP is the heartbeat of Ripple, that doesn't matter, right? And if this was just some big scam and, XRP was never going to go anywhere, would Brad Garlinghouse be doing this? Would he put a tattoo on himself? Would he like a tweet that leads to some guy getting a tattoo of 589? Would he be following 589 people? Is this just a joke? Or does Brad know that they're going to put a dent in the universe? You guys let me know in the comments down below. I'll tell you what. Banks are joining the crypto party. This is from Adrian Treccani, who is the former vice president and CEO, vice president of product at Ripple. But before that, he was the CEO and founder of Medico. And the final rules for MiCA are being put in place this year. We're nearly there in we're nearly there in Europe. This is coming from Ripple, and this is Adrian Treccani saying that banks are joining the crypto party. They are absolutely coming on in. Now, speaking of that, we are just at the tipping point. A new wave of adoption. There's over $40 trillion of advised wealth in the U.S., and they are largely have not been participating. Michael Sonnenschein, this is the CEO of Grayscale. Take a listen in on this one, folks.
Competitors are seeing inflows. We just learned this week that some of the big banks like Wells Fargo and Morgan Stanley are looking at getting into these products as well.
Yeah, we're just at the tipping point. I think that, many of my other colleagues in the industry have called for a new wave of adoption as Bitcoin ETFs become available through advised wealth channels. There's over $40 trillion of advised wealth in the U.S., and they largely have not been participating in Bitcoin or the crypto asset class more broadly. So we do think that, we're still in the early innings of this, only a couple weeks since spot Bitcoin ETFs came to market.
But how competitors are seeing it?
So this was a couple weeks ago, and as you've seen, right, we've continued to climb. I asked, who's going to be a buyer above 60,000? Who's going to be a buyer above 70,000? Well, Wall Street, okay, they've shown up and they've been buying. Wall Street picked up more yesterday. They're picking up more today. We actually see them. They continue to push down the price of Bitcoin with futures, and then they pick it up spot, and then the price goes back up. So it's funny. They're using the futures to push down price, scoop up, and then it's steadily rising. So it's kind of been interesting to watch how far it's gone. Well, it's been more than interesting. It's been kind of overwhelming. I mean, I didn't think that we would be pushed this far, but here we are at 73,500. It's pretty incredible. But I wanted to make a very important point here. The $40 trillion tipping point. It ain't all coming to Bitcoin. And that's what we need to get excited about and need to understand. And this is where I think that Bitcoin and the broader crypto space does extend out to concluding this bull run out later this year into next year, is we start to get approval. Now, obviously, we have the Ethereum spot ETF waiting to get approval from the SEC on that one. We'll see if they are able to get that done. That's due in May. We'll see about that. But past Ethereum, opening up all of the rest of the cryptocurrency space, opening up like Grayscale's large cap fund, which includes XRP, Avalanche, and a few of the major large caps, right? These types of funds. This is where we get all of this exposure, this $40 trillion tipping point, not just aimed at Bitcoin, which is the only option that they have right now, but also being able to get exposure to the rest of the space. And these basket ETFs, I think, is going to be very appealing for many people that don't understand crypto, right? They're going to call up their financial advisor and say, hey, can you get me exposure to some of that crazy cryptocurrencies? That's what Trump calls them, right? The crazy currencies. Can you get me some exposure to those? And so then you're going to be able to deploy to these large cap funds, which will get you exposure to Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Avalanche, and Solana, or whatever they're going to be, right? We're also going to see spot XRP ETFs coming, right? And you can see what this has done to Bitcoin. This has pushed us up very far. I personally don't think that this rally lasts much longer. On the shorter time frames, I think that we are due for a correction, and I do think that the world around us is burning down, and that's going to impact markets here shortly. But markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So you got to understand that. And that's why I haven't been shorting this market. Okay. But, I believe that the next wave up is going to be the V-shaped recovery that we'll get after it breaks, after we have a correction, whatever that may be, black swan event. Then we get that V-shaped recovery. The money printer gets turned back on. That's going to help push us, but then the additional ETFs that get passed are going to help push us as well. And so I'm expecting that we'll get more ETFs later this year. Maybe Ethereum will be the next one. I think XRP is on the way, and you're already seeing that these are going live in Europe as well too. Excuse me. So between the next wave of liquidity injections and between the ETFs getting created for all the other cryptos, right? It's not just a $40 trillion tipping point. It's also the Fed on the brink of printing trillions of dollars more to keep this thing alive. So we have positioned ourselves perfectly. You guys already know the deal. All of my community resources are available at my website, zachrector.com. And behind me there, I have the most recent installment for our business development program titled Investing in Marketing. If you want to find out how I just got a 40x return on investment on one of my paid ad campaigns and my thoughts on marketing, how you can select the best social media platforms for your business, make sure you guys go check that out. Sign up for Patreon to get access to Discord. And right now we're including business development program with our Discord members. So check that one out. Everything's at my website, zachrector.com. God bless you all. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.